Hey, Bears fans, if you want Chicago to draft a quarterback, then all you got to do is like this video. I want them to because Andy Dalton ain't the long-term answer, so give us a big thumbs up if you want the Bears to draft a quarterback. I'm shooting for 700-plus likes on today's show, which, speaking of today's show, it's coming up right now. I'm your host, Harrison Graham, here on Chicago Bears Now. Is it time to turn to the draft at quarterback after missing out on Russell Wilson, which obviously that was the goal. Maybe you circle back to Wilson at some point, but that obviously seems unlikely. Deshaun Watson seems unlikely as well, which is why Chicago impulsively signed Andy Dalton for some reason to a one-year deal. Maybe Nick Foles gets traded and Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy look at the draft to try and get someone for the long term because they don't have a long-term answer on their roster at the quarterback position. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So on today's show, I'm going to take a look at 4 quarterbacks the Bears could move up to draft in the first round. Trevor Lawrence, you're not going to get him, so if I get some comments about that, he's going number 1 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's start with Zach Wilson, who I think most analysts and scouts at this point have him as the number 2 QB prospect at this point, behind Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, Justin Fields in the mix for that as well. Maybe Trey Lance. We'll talk about those guys coming up in just a few minutes. Obviously, monster season at BYU. He did really, really well in 2020 for the BYU Cougars. Has all the physical tools. 6'3", 210. You'd like to see him put on 10, 15 pounds, which I'm sure he will at the NFL level. He can make all the throws. He's mobile. He can throw on the run. If you go watch some of his highlights or tape, he's got Mahomes-esque type of throws. Now, I'm not saying he's at that level, but arm angles, he can throw on the run, rolling left, rolling right. He's good in the pocket. Zach Wilson proved in 2020 he can make all the throws. Now, small school, only 1 year of major success in college football, but the upside is massive. Like, we saw that on full display this past season for BYU. I mean, this kid came out of nowhere. He was up and down in 2018 and 2019. 2020, he decides, hey, I'm going to be a top 5, top 10 pick, top 10 at the worst. I think he definitely goes top 5, could go number 2 overall, and I'm going to ball the bleep out. Look at what he did last year. 33 tutties, 3 interceptions, over 73% completion percentage. I'm a big fan of Zach Wilson. He is a ton of fun to watch. He's probably the least likely guy to go up and get based on these quarterbacks we'll talk about because it's going to cost a ton, and it might require you getting to the number 2 overall pick. So here's a trade idea put together with the New York Jets, who have the number 2 pick. Zach Wilson to the Chicago Bears, and the Bears send 2 first-round picks to the Jets, number 20 this year and their first next year, a third-round pick this year, and Allen Robinson, who has first-round value, so 3 first-round picks essentially, and a third-round pick, plus A-Rob gets them a number 1 receiver, which they've been looking for as well. Maybe the Jets keep Sam Darnold. Maybe they package some of those firsts and move up a little bit to get Trey Lance after trading down from number 2. They would have options with that draft capital if they're willing to move down from number 2. And hey, if the Bears don't have a veteran win-now quarterback, which I don't really think Andy Dalton is that, maybe at that point you consider trading Allen Robinson. So who wins this trade? Type CHI for the Bears, type NYJ for the Jets. Go ahead and let me know who wins this trade between these 2 teams. I still think the Jets might say no because they really probably are going to move on from Sam Darnold, but I think this is about what it would cost, if not a little bit more. Next up is Justin Fields. Justin Fields out of Ohio State, a player we've talked about a little bit in the past. Strong arm, good mobility, as are most of these quarterbacks for the most part, outside of someone we'll talk about later on. Really good deep ball, maybe the best deep ball in this class out of all the quarterbacks. A little bit of a slower release with his throwing release, which maybe that's a slight red flag. It takes a little longer to go through reads. Sometimes he likes to wait for the big play to develop, which a lot of young guys like to do coming out of college these days. But really good prospect. Outside of a couple of games and 2 seasons at Ohio State, he was really, really good. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves during his career at Ohio State the past 2 seasons. Obviously played a few games at Georgia back in 2018, but 63 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 68% completion, a lot of yards there as well, and he's mobile too. He's not a run-first guy, though. Let's not confuse him with Lamar Jackson. He can run a little bit, but he's not a 4-4, 4-5 guy. He's mobile. He could scramble if needed, but this isn't a zone read quarterback by any means. Justin Fields can make all the throws, and I just like him a little bit less than Zach Wilson overall. I think Wilson's tools are slightly better. Here's my trade idea here for Justin Fields. Bears receive the number 4 overall pick from the Atlanta Falcons, 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and Kyle Fuller going back to the Atlanta Falcons on this one. I think number 4 is about the range for Fields. Maybe he goes number 2 or 3, but I think with Atlanta restructuring Matt Ryan, he's for sure going to be their quarterback this year. Maybe they're looking to stock up on picks and wait for the quarterback for the future later on down the road. So who wins this trade? Type B for the Bears, type F for the Falcons. I think it could be a win-win. Kyle Fuller would help their secondary. Certainly he's been connected to some trade rumors as well. But go ahead and let me know on this one. Who would win this trade? Type B for the Bears or type F for the Falcons. Subscribe to Chicago Bears Now because we have daily videos for you guys here on this channel. You see the link below. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. My producer Sam is flashing it so you guys can't miss it. But just hit that big red button and subscribe today. We're closing in on 24,000 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. Look, it's a frustrating time right now, but we got the draft around the corner. Still some free agency moves that could be made. So go ahead and subscribe. We'll cover it all here on this channel. Next up, Trey Lance, high-risk, high-reward type of prospect. Like Zach Wilson, physical tools are all there. The small school thing, especially with Trey Lance, is going to factor in, I think, with some teams. North Dakota State, plus he only played in 1 game in 2020. North Dakota State scheduled 1 game in the fall, basically as a Trey Lance marquee game, so everybody could watch him play on national television against Central Arkansas. And honestly, he was just okay in that game. North Dakota State's playing football in the spring. He opted to get ready for the draft, obviously. Rocket arm, major wheels. Trey Lance, I think, is a Dak Prescott type of player. Now, remember, Dak Prescott went in the 4th round of the draft, but we didn't think he'd be this good. Trey Lance has similar tools to Dak Prescott. Strong arm, physical. He can take hits. He's not going to get injured more likely. Obviously, Dak had the major injury last year, but other than that, durability has been one of his best attributes. Trey Lance is probably the biggest wild card quarterback in this draft. And when you think about any NFL draft, some quarterbacks boom, some bust. There's a decent chance Trey Lance busts. Hasn't played a lot of football. Only played the 1 game last year. Small school. Can he handle the major lights? Those are all legitimate questions with Trey Lance. But it's also possible he could be the best quarterback in this class. He could very, very, very much boom and be a Pro Bowl, 10-time Pro Bowler or something like that. We saw the ridiculous production at North Dakota State. 1 interception in 18 games, 30 touchdowns, and they didn't ask him to throw a ton, but when he did, he was very effective. He's an excellent runner, too. Arguably the best running quarterback out of all of these quarterbacks in this draft. And I think Matt Nagy would like a mobile quarterback in Chicago. He had one in Trubisky, but he wasn't good enough in the passing side of things. Can Trey Lance be? I think he can. I'm not sure you want him starting as a rookie, though, which is why it could be a bit of a risk. Here's my trade idea for the Bears to draft Trey Lance, move up to number 7 overall with the Detroit Lions. It's very possible he's gone before then, but that's about as high as I would probably go for Lance at this point. 2 first-round picks and a 3rd going to Detroit, so they get 20. They get the Bears first next year and a 3rd this year as well, as Detroit continues to retool and rebuild their roster after trading Jared Goff. Or trading for Jared Goff, trading Matt Stafford. Who wins this trade? C for Chicago, D for Detroit. Get your votes in. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is quite enough for the Lions. For the Lions tasting, maybe they want an extra 3rd or a 2nd as well. But for the Bears, this is probably as high as I would go for Lance at this point in time. So type C for Chicago or type D for Detroit. Now, March Madness is underway, and there is money to be made with our partners, BetRivers, chatsports.com/BetIL, chatsports.com/BetIN. Of course, you can bet on the Bulls in the NBA as well. BetRivers is going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $250. What does that mean, Harrison? Well, when you sign up and deposit, if you put down $200, they're going to give you an additional $200 for free to play with, and you can bet on the Bulls or against the Bulls, the NCAA tournament, whatever it is, do it at BetRivers. Chatsports.com/BetIN, chatsports.com/BetIL. If you're in Indiana or in Illinois, you can place a bet, but you can sign up and deposit from anywhere, and once you're in one of those two states, you can make some money with BetRivers, so go ahead and be sure that you do just that. Now, we've talked about these three quarterback prospects. One more to go, then we'll look at some honorable mentions. Who do you want out of these three guys? Type ZW for Zach Wilson. Type JF for Justin Fields. Type TL for Trey Lance. I think I like Wilson the best out of these three. Maybe Fields is the safest pick. I'm not so sure. Let me know what you guys think. ZW, JF, or Trey Lance. Let's talk Mac Jones, probably the guy we've talked about the most on this show since the Bears have a lower draft pick at number 20 overall. Coming off one of the better college football seasons of all time for a quarterback, really, statistically. We said a year plus ago that Joe Burrow had the best statistical season in history. Had Mac Jones had a full 15-game schedule, he would have come close, if not maybe even surpassed Burrow in terms of pure statistics. Now, he's not a number one type prospect like Burrow was. Burrow's got more mobility, a little bit of a stronger arm, in my opinion. But Jones is a good prospect. He's accurate. He throws a really good deep ball. The arm strength isn't great, but it's good enough. The mobility is not as bad as people make it out to be. He can move a bit. He's not Phil Rivers. He can move a little bit. He's not going to run a 4.4 in the 40 by any means, but 4.9 I think is very much possible, and he can slide up in the pocket. He can do what you need him to do from the quarterback position as far as his legs go. The accuracy was unbelievable. I mean, 77.5%, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks. I get it. Oh, he played with a bunch of NFL players. So did Joe Burrow, and we weren't criticizing him for that. He had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and a bunch of these other dudes that are balling out on Sundays or will be very, very soon. Let's not take that against Mac Jones just because Tua wasn't that great his rookie season. The issue with Jones and the Bears is how high are you willing to go for him? Because I don't think at this point in time he's going to fall to number 20 overall. I just don't see it. I don't see him getting all the way down to number 20. Most mock drafts right now have him going top 10, top 12. I've seen him go ahead above Trey Lance in some mocks. So you're going to have to move up for him. That's just the reality of the situation. So